All the way from the start, I can feel it in my heart, like all the way from the start.
Hey, what's going on out there? I'm Sean Devine. Hope you all are doing well. Today I've got a new tutorial where we're going to talk about creating some cool doubling effects using vocals. I was working on this session and it dawned on me that I have included this technique in my templates, but I haven't done a video on creating some pseudo doubles with one take. So this is something you all are interested in. We've talked a lot about tracking and recording duplicate takes and then layering those up under your main to give you some width, to give you more of a thick, exciting sound. But again, today we're going to create those doubling effects with one take, and we're using this plugin from Waves called the Doubler. So let me go ahead and play this song. This is actually a theme song from a horror movie. For you scary movie fans, I'll put a link to it below. But the group is called Harlo, and we'll take a listen, and then we're going to create some of these cool doubling effects from scratch in just a moment.
We've been having so much fun. This night's been a thriller. Don't think about what we've done. You might be the killer. You can't take your hands off me. This night's been a thriller. As long as you see what I see, you might be the killer.
All right, so you can see that the takes that we're going to be using to create the doubles are here, called doubles. And they're just accentuating or stacking the lines. This night's been a thriller. You might be a killer. And so what the goal was to give it more of like an anthematic, not quite a chant effect, but something close to that, something really airy. You can hear I already have a reverb with a pre-delay on it just to give us that sort of effect. But we're going to really accentuate things and make those phrases more exciting here. So let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about Waves Doubler. There's a lot of doubling plugins out there. This is the one that I'm most comfortable with and that I really appreciate the most because of what it allows you to control. The most important thing when we're creating these pseudo doubles is that we need to be able to control the delay of the layers that we're going to be creating as well as the pitch, because I'm sure a lot of you have tried to just duplicate a take and then layer that underneath and then try to pan things. It's just going to cancel each other out. You can cause phasing issues, unless you're doing something like parallel compression where you're dramatically changing the sound. It's not going to achieve the results that you're after by doing that. So again, we need the delay and we need the detune, and we also want to be able to control panning. So all those things are available to you here in Doubler. And then we've also got some control over like EQ of the double voices that we create and some other cool things. So let's just go ahead and dive in. You're going to see up here that the direct, this is just the signal being fed directly through the Doubler. So no added voices yet. But I want to note that this is placed as the last plugin in the vocal chain. So you want to do compression, EQ, de-essing, all that kind of stuff to give you a clear present sound and then feed the doubler. You don't want to do anything with reverb or delay, any kind of modulation effects. That's going to cause some issues, but you do want to, go ahead and process it with those essential things first. Now down here, we have our voices. So these are the doubles that we're going to create. We're going to use all four, give ourselves a big wide sound. So let's just go ahead and turn on the first two, and we're going to see that up here, it's going to activate these two dots. I'm going to move these other two out of the way for now. We'll come back to those, and you'll see that we can control the pan. And then as we go from top to bottom, this is the gain, or how audible these things are going to be when compared to the direct. So let's just go ahead and pull the gain back just a little bit, maybe a couple of dB here, and then we're going to keep them wide panned. And then I'm going to add some delay here, a little bit more dramatic than what the default has said. So I'm going to detune these up some here, and then let's solo that and hear what it sounds like. Already we've got a thicker, wider sound there. So let's go ahead and add in another one down here in the 3, and I'm going to leave this one centered. So let's just put 0 here, and we'll turn this one up a little bit. And what I'm going to do with this one is we're going to octave it down. So I'm going to click this octave button, And I'm going to turn this down pretty low. It's not going to actually be something that is necessarily heard in the performance, but it's going to add some thickness and texture in that lower octave. So we won't detune this either. Well, maybe just slightly detune this, and then we'll layer it subtly. So you can hear it down there. Again, in the context of the mix, let's just play that back. You're not going to hear it so much.
Don't think about what we've done. You might be the killer.
So it's just something subtle back there. So for the last one, I'm just going to kind of put it in between the center and the right channel. And we're going to detune this one down. And we're not going to octave it. We're just going to leave that there. And then we're going to do quite a large delay on this one. So let's just do that. Let's hear what that sounds like.
This night's been a blur. You might be the killer.
The last thing I'm going to do is we've got our EQ control over here, and I'm just going to up the brightness from about 4K up just to give us a little bit more presence on these.
This night's been a blur. You might be the killer.
So let's play that back in the context of the mix.
We've been having so much fun. This night's been a thriller. Don't think about what we've done. You might be the killer. We've been having so much fun. This night's been a thriller. Don't think about what we've done. You might be the killer.
All right, so a much cooler, wider, thicker sound there. I hope this gives you some ideas of how you can use the doubler plugin. This is a pretty simple concept. It's something that's been around for a while, but it's very powerful. And once you get comfortable with using this, it's going to give you a lot of flexibility in terms of creating these pseudo doubles. One thing I do want to note about using these doubling effects, especially when we're creating delays in the layers, it's going to affect the sound in mono. So you're going to want to reference in mono. Things might be perceived quieter because we're losing that stereo delay. So you want to make sure to try to keep things as consistent as possible. When you flick into mono, obviously you're not going to hear the doubling effect as noticeably in mono. So just again, keep these things in consideration and be careful not to introduce, any major phasing issues. But anyways, y'all, I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions about creating vocal doubles in your vocal tracks, feel free to leave a comment below. If you learned anything in the video, please like, subscribe, and consider sharing. I'll talk to you soon.
This is power. It's not cold-hearted. And we're just getting started. We've been having so much fun. This night's been a thriller. Don't think about what we've done.